Good afternoon. This is Joe Scarano from Arrays. Thanks for joining us today for our FastFund Online training webinar series. Today we'll be covering enhancements we've rolled out in the user interface for the make deposit function in accounting. If you have fundraising only, you also have the make deposit function, but we're going to be focusing on the accounting application and how your make deposits will help with your bank reconciliation and managing all of your cash activity. So in accounting and in fundraising, any cash receipt that you enter is going to be debited to your undeposited funds account. So if I enter a new cash receipt here, coming in, let's say we get $100 from Acme Supply. Miscellaneous income, let's say it was just a refund from one of our suppliers. And I'm going to record this cash receipt, and it is going to appear in make deposits. So typically, your make deposit screen will reflect cash that's been received, checks that have been received, and has not yet been recorded as a deposit to one of your bank accounts. Or if you have credit card that comes in for donations, whether it's coming in for your website donations, or if you take credit cards for fees for service, before it hits your bank, you need to reconcile your credit card statements or daily receipt review before you make your deposits. So as you can see, I have all different types of transactions here in make deposits. A cash receipt that is a pledge payment. So this is a fundraising transaction. Here is another fundraising transaction, a cash gift. Then we have some cash receipts and a cash receipt that paid a client bill, a CR-AR transaction. So when you open up this make deposit screen, the default sort is date order. The oldest transactions will appear on top. So you could change the sort order by just clicking on any one of these headers. So whether it's your name, the reference, the account, or the amount, click on any one of these and it'll change the sort value. The date sort is the most useful because it'll show the transactions that are oldest that have not yet been deposited. We've added the ability to drill down to the name associated with the transaction. And we always had the drill down to the transaction. We replaced the magnifying glass with the transaction type that's highlighted in blue. So if you want to see the details of a transaction, you click on the transaction, and it brings up a new window, replaces the existing window with the details for the receipt. The reason we replace the existing window is if you make a change to this transaction and we had the make deposit screen open, then what would happen is it would not, the make deposit screen is not dynamic, so it would not reflect the change that you make here. So if this, for example, should have been $50 instead of $500, I can change it. And then when I go back to make deposit, it's going to be reflected in change, the $50. If I drill down to a donor record, I need to have access to fundraising in order to drill down to review the donor record. If you don't have fundraising access and you try to drill down to a donor record, you'll have a little pop-up window that says you do not have access to that particular function. So again, every cash receipt entered in FastFund is entered and debited to undeposited funds. If I do a select all here, you'll see that the balance in my undeposited funds account, or my balance in my make deposit, is $45,150. If I go to my control register and pull up undeposited funds, which it happens to be here, you see $40,000 $45,150. So this amount should always agree with the amount to be deposited. So to make a deposit, you just click on the items that you want to deposit. So let's say I want to deposit these two items, these two big $5,000 checks. I want to deposit them in my savings account. So I select them, I prepare the deposit. Now I can generate a deposit report. I can generate a PDF that shows the details of the deposit, or I can dump it into Excel, CSV, or an HTML document. So this is useful if you have a lot of checks or credit card charges that are going to be deposited at any one time. This would be your backup, kind of your audit trail showing what makes up this particular deposit. If this was money going into the bank, you could attach this to your deposit slip to show the details. So I've selected my two receipts to be deposited. I'm going to select my savings account, select the date that it was deposited. I'm a little bit behind in my deposits, so you want to make sure you enter the right date. So let's say we went to the bank on the 22nd of March. I could do deposit 3/22 and save. So it gives you a pop-up that the deposit was successfully posted. I can see my total is now $35,150, and my register is $35,150. So once again, I would select my items to be deposited. So prepare my deposit, select my bank account. So let's say I made a mistake. I want these to go into the BB&T account, but I inadvertently checked payroll. So I do deposit 3/24 and save the deposit. And if I was going to do my bank reconciliation for the BB&T account, and I don't see that transaction in my BB&T account, how do I find it if I don't see it in BB&T? Well, the way you can find it is if I go back to my register for undeposited funds, and I know the deposit was made on March 24th. Where's this? Oh, I made it the wrong date. I'm sorry. I entered 3/24. That was the date. I have the wrong date and the wrong bank account. So I can open this up. I can change the bank account to BB&T and correct the date. So now when I do my March reconciliation for the BB&T account, so actually I've already reconciled March, but it was an outstanding item. So now it appears and it's in my BB&T account. So I've got the correct date and the correct bank account. Let's say you have credit cards that come in, and the net amount that comes into your bank account is the total for the credit cards less the Stripe fee. So if all of these were pledge payments, or these two transactions, these were coming in from fundraising, and we use Stripe as our credit card processor, and the total amount was not $5,100, it was $5,050. So what I needed to do was, in cash receipts, I enter a negative cash receipt for the Stripe fee, and I charge it to my bank charges or credit card processing fee, whatever expense account you're tracking and posting your credit card transactions. So now it was a $50 fee for that $5,100 credit card. So when I go to make my deposit, I select my Stripe fee, my cash gift, and my pledge payment. So that's the net amount that was transferred from Stripe's credit card processing to my bank account. It went into BB&T. It went in on the 16th. So it was a deposit on 4/16, like it's a Stripe credit card, and save it. So now we have the balance to be deposited, and they all came in, let's say last week. I select them. I prepare my deposit, select my bank account. I went to the bank on the 17th. And I've made my deposit. So now if I go to my register for undeposited funds, it shows my balance is 0. Okay. So that's the make deposit function. Again, the changes that we made. Let's do a quick cash receipt quickly. So we now have the ability to drill down to the name, plus we added the GL account code that the cash receipt was credited to. So if this was not the correct account, you can then open up the transaction and adjust it. Now let's say that this should have been put into a portion into my unrestricted fund and a portion in my restricted fund. So if you do a split of a cash receipt, it'll show with a split. So now let's take a look at the ability to add documents. And it works the same way throughout the application, whether you're in other names, vendors, clients, constituent records, or employees. If I open up a particular vendor record, let's say that this vendor record is a 1099 vendor, and I enter her social security number, put in non-employee compensation, but I want to attach her W-9 to her vendor record. I can go to Notes and open it up, and it shows that I've got her 1099 attached. So to attach that, you just click on File Attachment. The only limitation here is the file must be less than 5 megabytes. I click on Attachment. I go to choose my file. Select the file, open it, and I can put. So now I've got a copy of her W-9 attached to her note, which is in her vendor record. And then if I need to, I can open this up. So again, that works the same way in fundraising and payroll. You can attach a document to a constituent or vendor or other name or client or employee notes record. So that's the enhancements we made to transactions and the make deposit function, and an enhancement to the ability to add an attachment to a note. We will be adding, when we start enhancing the balance of the transaction screens, the ability to attach documents to all of your transactions. So you can copy, attach a vendor invoice or a client bill or anything associated with a transaction, you'd be able to attach a document to it. So I appreciate your time today. Again, this is Joe Scarano. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you all soon, and stay safe. Bye-bye.